welcome to another episode of Stamped. I am your host, Samuel Patrick. I'm joined today by Kiki.D. And what we'll be doing is we'll be going over some of our favorite submissions from y'all. That's what we do on this show. And also artists who want additional feedback, more in-depth, constructive criticism. They can send their records in as well. We got one of those for you today that we're going to get into. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you like what you're hearing, if you want to add to it, if you think we were wrong, drop that in the comments or hit us at LFOD Life. Definitely want to keep these conversations going and keep the gems flowing. With that being said, hello, Kiki.D. Welcome.
Hi. Hey. I was so excited with that one. What's up, everybody?
You ready to rock?
I'm ready to roll. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. So let's get right into it. I did that intro, but we did things a little differently this time. We both brought some records that we were feeling at the moment versus, going through all the general submissions. So we got a record from you here from a Massachusetts artist.
Yes.
Do you want to intro it or do you want to just get right into this?
Let's shout out Key and Prod by Tomo. A nice collaboration. We can get right into it.
You know we get that, double and flip that. Niggas gon' break like a Kit Kat. I'm with the king, now we with that. We get a big bag.
We get a big bag, no fumble. I'm touching big racks, make it double. She love how I flex, do it so subtle. She ask for sex, shorty, I'm a W. I'm in a section with them bundles like it's chilly. Where I dress to the function, make a broke nigga wanna kill me.
I can't fuck with no fuck nigga tryna run through my city. If you tryna get with us, then we can't get busy. You know we litty, gang, gang.
Promise that time go get them ends. I had to work so hard, I said all and I ran it up again. Me against the world, little nigga, I don't really even need no friends. I don't even fuck with these niggas, boy, you already blew your chance.
Hey. That is what you call letting the music speak for itself, okay? That is what I call letting the music speak for itself. So thank you for giving me a new song to add to my playlist. Really, though, my rotation, because my rotation is songs that I like to repeat. I don't even need a playlist. I like a song that I could just press. It's going to be right there in the history, in the line of the 10 most recent songs, right? And Benz by Key, Future and Prod by Tomo is one that I could travel state to state with. I can play it in the shower. I can play it getting ready, fresh out the shower. I mean, that song gets me ready for life. And we all need something. Every day is going to get us ready for life. So what better way than to have a song you can have on repeat, right? But even more specifically, I like the ad-libs by Key. The haha, like, matter of fact, there's no need for me to even attempt to do it. Like, the way she did it matched the song. And this is how you collaborate. Like, this is a collaboration, like all of it. This is really like my sound. When I tell people in response to them asking like, oh, what kind of songs do you like? What kind of hip hop? This is one of it. This is one of many, actually, but this is one that I can go to every single time if I don't know where to start. Benz, what were your thoughts?
Word. Well, I'm just smiling listening to you. You can't see me. I was off camera, but I was just grinning. I love when music hits someone like that and inspires them. And you're reminding me of a buddy of mine. His only real criteria for records is like, can I loop it? Like when I finish it, do I want to go right back to the beginning and hear it again? And it sounds like this is kind of that type of energy for you. So word, I'm real happy about that. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I think sonically, it's real nice. They definitely did their thing. It's a good record for sure. To be honest, for me right now, it's not really the vibrations I'm on at the moment. Like, I'm not super into angry Get Money music. Like, their energy on it was like very aggressive. Like run up the bands. But if they were like, hey, run up the bands, like that might have hit me differently. Like, so I'm just more in a different spot right now, but I liked it. It's a good record. It's definitely a statement. It makes them set themselves apart, and I think the quality is fire. I like Key's Like Ooh joint probably the most from her. That's the new one. It's got the house party video. I like that record. She's definitely someone to watch, and Tomo as well. We got to check in with him because I've been saying his name produced by Tomo, so I wonder if he goes long form or short form with it. That's another thing to uncover on the episode here. But shout out to them because I definitely think that's a great record, and Key's been on a nice little streak out here.
Definitely. When you say a streak, it's accurate because I'm seeing it in real life and online. So I want to take this opportunity to not only say what I believe is fire, but what is in my rotation because, people like to know behind the scenes. And again, shout out to Proud by Tomo. Shout out to Key. Shout out to the producer as well, Cassius Knight. This is great.
Fire. Shout out to y'all. We love to hear it. So, keeping it moving along, it's my turn. I got one from my guy, Esty Knack. And if you've been tapped in here, you've known for a while about Esty. He was definitely one of the first people I met when I was getting into music out here almost 10 years ago. Definitely been in the ciphers, on the stages, in the mix, up in Lynn, Massachusetts. And he was out in San Diego last weekend, and I caught him. I drove down there to check out that show, see what was going on. I hadn't seen him since before, all the lockdowns and everything like that. And, he's a star. He's a star, and it's so dope to see because we've all known he's been nice, but it feels like the world's catching on. Plus, he's getting into a completely different bag. And, we're down there. People are bringing the vinyl to get autographed. They had the Dominican flags in the crowd. It was wild, and it was just real good to see. So I wanted to shout out Esty, and I want to make sure he's on people's radar and they know what's going on because it is wild. I do find myself still putting people in Boston onto him, and it's kind of interesting to me because I can be around the country and people know what's good with him. And then back home, not everyone quite knows. So this is off his new record. It's actually put out by Westside Gun and Griselda and all them. So it's cool. It's an example for me of how to do the boom bap sound, but in a new and flavorful way, because I don't really like to listen to that so much anymore because I feel like it's all been kind of done and people, we know the flow, we know what's going to happen. But I feel like throughout the record, he hit it in a unique and different way. And this one especially is a good example of that. Plus, it was wild live. So if you like what you're hearing now, definitely go check the record. I heard someone compare it to jazz, and I think that's accurate. So this is Esty Knack. This is Angel Dior. It's produced by J.R. Swifts. You're on Stamped.
I'm fathering rappers in Argentina. Could picture me in Paris, I'm sipping an Orangina. Drop the package, take the bet, then I dip in a foreign beamer. Trying to execute a vision, my nigga, I've been a dreamer. Shit is booming like Nagasaki and Hiroshima. She said she love the feeling she get when I'm in between her. Keep playing and I'm probably gonna turn her just like Tina. R.I.P. Selena, come get with the crowd. Please, I just got me this heater. I'm eager to let it go. A nigga say it's up when he see me, you better blow. Of course, I make a better friend if you was, so I get him low.
I think the video and the song kind of speak for themselves.
So when you talk about aggression, I feel like it's perfect timing, not only in my life, but in this episode, right? Because the previous song, you're like, hey, that was a little too aggressive. And this song, I feel Esty did a good job of being smooth, especially with like the Gina line. And he's showing us and telling us that he's turned people into believers. He's turned people who would doubt him or who would underestimate him into believers and fans. But for me, this song didn't necessarily do it. prior to even playing the song, you spoke on him being a star, and it was clear as day in the track and in the video. So that's what I really appreciated about the song. But I would have to give it another listen to potentially add it to my playlist. And live, though, if I heard the song, I would definitely be having my hands in the air. What were your thoughts as far as why you picked it and why you stamped it? Because I almost wanted to stamp it. Again, I see the star shining from a mile away, and even before this, I've heard a verse from him, and I've been referred to him. So it's all lining up. But let me know a little bit about your perspective.
Yeah, well, I'd say the chorus was the more sing-along part at the beginning and at the end. And definitely, like, that's how he queued it up live, is he went back and forth, and the audience knew that whole part and kind of, sang it a cappella with him. Yeah, it's funny because when I had that comment for yours, I was like, because I picked my pick before I knew what you'd have. And then I was like, oh, this could be a little clash with what I said. But I guess the distinction is I actually don't find that SD record to be aggressive. I think it's a dark record. I think there's a distinction there. Like, it's definitely a slower BPM, so it's not in your face. It's not really pushing you. It's maybe describing, it's definitely dark, and it's describing, some kind of bleak experiences, as well as, floating above those. I think it's more wavier in that sense. Like you said, the way he flows on it and moves on it. And it's more, I don't even know if he makes any threats in it. It's not aggressive to the listener. He's more taking you into a world. Whereas aggression for me is more, even like their diction and cadences were aggressive. They were fast. They were on it. And they were, I don't need friends. I get, you know what I mean? So that is the distinction. And talking about frequencies, I'm not out here bumping that SD record every day either. I just thought it was a good example because we do get a lot of like boom bap type stuff sent to us, because I think we definitely value lyricists and have we do ciphers. We're known for being in that world, but I just wanted to show people how you can do it a little differently, because we hear a lot of similar formulas, I think. And so I wanted to stamp that. Plus, it was just a dope show. I hadn't really, I tapped back in getting ready for the show, listening to the albums. I was like, oh, damn, all right, SD, it's like that. Because he stands out from what a lot of people are doing in that lane.
And yes, he does stand out. So I look forward to other songs that I might stamp with, without hesitation. Because as you can see,
Yep.
I'm more on the fence, but not in a bad way. Just
I get it. I played one of his records for someone once, and they were like, this is giving me a headache. Please turn this off. So, like, I get it. Like, there's different sounds, and some of it can be clashing for folks,
And this one reminded me of Childish Gambino in the beginning of the track, but again, in a good way. So we're in the right direction. Like, again, shout out to SD Neck.
Bet.
Yeah.
Big shout out. Lynn Mass.
Yeah.
Word. So, and y'all, we're having a little conversation here. We're going back and forth on some things. We're not necessarily in total agreement. So we want to hear what y'all think. At LFOD Life, put it in the comments. Let us know. And if you're an artist and you're tuned in, you can see right at the bottom there, it says submit your music, lfod.life/stamped. Send us something. With that being said, we have something that was sent in from two artists looking for that next level of feedback. These last two ones were ones Kiki.D and I liked individually, and we brought to the table to share. This is one that was sent to us, and they said, we want to know what you think, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. So without further ado, we got this one from Paranormal Adam and King Virtue. It's called God of War. We're going to give you our thoughts after this.
On whack MCs, mommies eat out their pussies, spit out they ovaries, then finger the fifi. Until my fist fondles the uterus, then snatch it out so your bitch ass will never exist. The suspects are usual, finicky foul ass niggas will try to fool you with the voodoo and the evil that men do. But I can see right through you. By looking into your pupil, yo, a pupil. Padawan, I'm master like Qui-Gon. Living legend, I live on even after I'm gone. Through sermon, say us a song. Paranormal activity transmitting through the Ouija board you play on. We need to practice knowledge of self, mental self-medicate our mental health and self-wealth. We need to believe in a new vision of freedom. We need numbers to beat them and unity to defeat them.
Shout out Paranormal Adam, King Virtue, sending that one in. Kiki.D, how you feel about it?
That song made me smile a few times, so that's a good sign. He had like a lot of motivation, a lot of energy, and wasn't doing a lot of holding back, which is also a great sign. But I didn't hear great song. I didn't hear, ooh, let me add this. Ooh, let me run it back. So it might have been because it was completely overwritten or too long of a song that could use more of a chorus and shorter verses.
You like the hooks. You're a big fan of hooks, huh?
It's funny, yeah. And when we look at the word hook, that means grab on. That means grab on, you know. So, hey, I do like to pick and run it back because that means it's greatness, right? We want to repeat fun and great moments. The stuff that is feeling less than or brings us farther from that feeling, let's be honest about human nature.
Word, yeah. So I thought it was like almost kind of in the opposite direction, you know, that beat. I thought it was a real good example of a strong 2-bar loop that you can just rap on. Like I could hear a bunch of MCs in a row on this with no hook, as long as they had their own style, like a posse cut. And I think it would hold up in that, like for a cypher or posse cut, something like that. I'm curious to know who produced it. It definitely brought me back to a very specific time in underground hip hop, and I like the hi-hats on it. I'm not sure. I believe Paranormal Adam went first, but I'm not sure 100%. So I just want to go verse by verse. But, you know, first verse, I thought this guy's voice fit perfectly. You know, I liked crushing corny MCs like an accordion, and his intro cadence and flow, he really had me. But to be real, he lost me a bit at the Back to the Future part, where he really slowed down that momentum and kind of went on a detour, both with the theme was a really long metaphor and the rhyme scheme. And I didn't think it quite matched the potency of what he was saying. Like the rhymes and flow didn't quite match it. And then after that, he got back on track. But then it got like way more grounded and conscious out of like for the second half. So I don't know. I feel like the pieces are here, but the way they're arranged isn't the strongest. Like they could almost be different songs. I wasn't sure. Like we had God of War, but then like the theme of his verse at the end was kind of preaching unity and things like that. But at the beginning, it was something else. So that was my thoughts on his verse.
I was looking for more, got a lot, and was like, whoa, overwhelmed. So that's what happens sometimes when you do have a lot to say. This song had too many lyrics, you know, too many syllables, but great delivery, great personality, and that's definitely what stood out to me.
Word. Yeah, it's fun. I might have a little bit easier time telling people apart. But the second dude stood out for different reasons to me. I thought his flow was real surgical and a good balance for how to approach the beat. He says he's a crack music chemist, nonfiction novelist, knocking out my nemesis. You know, he had some things in there. I listened to the song like probably 5 or 6 times to catch it all. But he kind of did the same thing, to be honest. He lost me he said scientists test his saliva to see if it's made as the same substance as a vagina, and then he said he gets erect when he's rapping. And to be real, I don't know what, maybe I missed it, but like that threw me out of the song a little bit and threw me somewhere else. And then he got back to his flow after that. Just like, this is my perspective, but like, yeah, I think both of them have, like I said, all the pieces. I think second drafts, or if these were second drafts, third drafts, would be a huge level up for both of them, because I think sonically they match the beat, they have the flows, they have what they want to say, but like really look at your verse and be like, what does this say? You know, what am I saying with this? And is this message being delivered? How's it being delivered? And I think the next one could be slamming. So I just want to say that. I'm giving a lot of criticism, but it's meant in a constructive way, because the pieces are all there. It's just this next level of songwriting will take it to a different place, I think.
Yeah, very, very relatable. And ideally, they're going to feel the same way. The audience members and the creators who are watching this as we give feedback on their art. It is, yeah, it's like when you mention second draft, right? Because again, I said it's so relatable. I had to jump out of reality, then jump right back into it, okay? A second draft, right, means you revised the first. A third draft means you revised the second. I mean, effort is effort, and people are going to notice. And even sometimes I have to say, okay, did I look at what I was saying? Sometimes I didn't get a chance to say that, and I have to reflect. Could I have looked at what I was saying? And so no matter what, you know, and how many steps it takes for you to do, you said it really well. And that, let's see if they can be more mindful and intentional about what they put down. You quoted some lyrics I won't even say. Case closed.
Word. So shout out Paranormal Adam. Shout out King Virtue. Appreciate you sending it in. I look forward to hearing back from you. Let us know what you think. You know, did we miss something? Did something we say spark something in your head? We're like, okay, bet. I'm going to hit it again. It would be good to hear more from y'all in general. Introduce yourselves. Appreciate you sending it in. And shout out Key. Shout out Produced by Tomo. Shout out SD Knack, JR Swifts, everyone we had earlier on here. I got to thank you, Kiki.D, the LFOD team, everyone who makes what we do possible. You know, this episode was co-produced by our members, so thank y'all. If you don't know what that means, you can go to lfod.life and learn more. Basically, the more members we have, the more art we make. And if you know some artists who could benefit from this, please share it, whether benefit from the advice on here or from having their songs featured. Let them know. You can also comment everywhere at LFOD Life, or let us know in the comments below wherever you're watching. Kiki, I know you have some closing thoughts for us of your own, so I'd be curious to hear those before we get out of here today.
I've been watching episodes that talk about with athletes, there's less of that dog energy, you know. When we talk about the Celtics, and it's funny, I got the Celtics shirt on too, but when we talk about the Celtics years ago and the team they had with Garnett, Paul Pierce, and many more down the list,
Ray Allen.
You have that dog-like energy, right? Right? And so we talk about that in sports. We sometimes talk about that in music. As we saw today, I believe the word we used really was aggression. But it's all about being a comfortable aggression, you know, or being a comfortable amount of aggressive, right, with yourself and with others. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe any of us want to really force it. Even when we do, I believe none of us really want to force it. And there's an art to forcing. There's an art to aggression. That's why there's boxers. That's why there's wrestlers. And it's interesting. After this episode, I believe that's going to be on my mind. Like, how can aggression really be delivered in a creative and artistic way, and maybe less of a brutal and damaging way as we may relate, or as we might have spoken about, because in hip hop especially, with the drums, with the instruments, this is kind of what we talk about. How does it make us feel? So athletes oftentimes are expected to be dogs, right? Even artists sometimes in rap are expected to be aggressive. How do we channel that energy? Because someone else on that end is receiving it, is my closing thoughts.
I like that. Thank you, Kiki.D. You've given us all a lot to think about today.
Yeah.
And shout out to everyone tuned in one more time. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Positivity is a better movement. Let us do this. Level up and get into this evolution. Revolutionary math and music. Get us choosing everything but less excuses. Shout out to the kings and queens with everything to lose. They never lose it.
So much glory.